I've always loved the ocean. I've been a scuba diver since I turned about 20, I think. The reason I got to be invited to do the PhD is because I was working in marine policy and protection conservation work here in the department. So to be able to participate in a project that enabled me to get out in the field. So in the department, it's really important work that we do to conserve the reef and the marine species through policy and legislation. But it was really great to have a chance to add a field component to that. And yeah, we're working on coral restoration in the Philippines and also just starting to work on the Great Barrier Reef. So our project is called, we call it enhanced larval supply, or another term for it is larval reseeding, or reseeding reefs with larvae. So we go out on coral spawning nights and we collect or catch the coral spawn. When corals release their spawn, they float to the surface so we can collect them from the top. And then we rear the larvae for about a week until they're ready to settle. So by that stage they're about a millimetre long and they'll swim around. They're pretty rubbish swimmers, but they can move a little bit. And then we take it to a degraded area of reef and we enclose the degraded area with plankton mesh. That's really fine, kind of like a wedding veil, I guess. And the very first ones that we did were actually literally with wedding veil muslin. So it's like a great big underwater tent, and we put that over the degraded part of the reef, and we put the larvae underneath it or inside it, and we leave it for a few days, and then we take the net away so the coral isn't damaged, or whatever's left of the reef isn't damaged. And then we can monitor it, and over time, this concentrated larvae that's been introduced to this degraded area starts to grow. Corals don't grow very quickly, but after about a year, in the Philippines they're about as big as your fist, so we can start to count them. And then once they get to that size, they're pretty much good to go. So there's very high mortality in that first kind of 6 months, but once they get to be of a size that we can see visually on a reef, none of them have died. So our oldest site now is 5 years old. It's a long game, and conservation in coral is going to be a long game. But yeah, to swim back over these sites after a few years and actually be able to swim over and say, oh, well, that wouldn't be there if we didn't do that action back, a couple of years ago. So yeah, it's really exciting. What's important about biodiversity is that it supports the life that we live, and we might not understand how it all does that, but all these pieces all work together. So it has an intrinsic value. We have some beautiful animals that make people feel good, and that has a value, and being part of a landscape that's amazing. That's why we all choose to live here.